huge Star Wars Episode 9 news about Billy Dee Williams reprising his role as Lando Calrissian in the next movie. We're going to break that down, talk about what it could mean, and there's massive Dragon Ball Super news. Yesterday it was revealed that the mystery villain for the coming Dragon Ball Super movie will indeed be Brolly, but there's a lot to unpack with that, so that's what we're going to be going over right now. This is the Nerdy News Rundown, your daily dose for nerdy news. Let's get you filled in. What's up, all you beautiful nerds? I am, of course, Josh, your host. This is the Den of Nerds, and man, we've got a doozy of a show for you today. I keep telling you guys, this, like, the coffee tastes better out of this mug. I'm not just telling you because I want you to buy it, but it is linked in the description below. All right, let's get right into it. The Hollywood Reporter has made it known on the interwebs that Billy Dee Williams will be reprising his role as Lando Calrissian in Star Wars Episode 9. You will remember a couple of weeks back, this rumor started. This was all because Billy Dee Williams was asked at a Comic-Con about his plans for the rest of the year. He talked about a training regiment that he was doing, which lined up with the training that the other actors would be doing for Episode 9. It was also eerily similar to the training that both Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill went through when they came back to Star Wars. So a lot of people were saying, okay, Lando's coming back. This is probably going to be a thing. And it turns out it is a thing, although to be fair, Disney has not made an official statement about this. The Hollywood Reporter is a very reliable trade. It's all over the interwebs. You probably saw it break last night. Lando will be in Episode 9. To me, this really feels like an olive branch to the fans. I'm glad that Lando is going to be in the movie. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come. I mean, the nostalgia for Star Wars is super real. Apparently Rian Johnson was going to put Lando in The Last Jedi, but just didn't find the right place for him. I think overall the reaction I've seen online is good, unless you're just like, no, screw Star Wars and everything Star Wars does is wrong, and then you probably think this is a bad move. Also, without going into too many details, last night I spoke to someone that has connections with Lucasfilm, and they did tell me that making fans happy and doing what fans want is a very high priority moving forward. I can't really say anything other than that, but talking to this person did make me feel a lot better about some of the moves that I think Lucasfilm and Disney is going to make in the next year. Now, as far as what kind of a role Lando will have in the film, it's really unclear at this point. It could be a very small role. It could be a very significant role. I mean, when I think about it, I think about the Last Shot novel, his connections to Han and Leia, and what that means for his connections to Ben Solo. He's also maybe still a very wealthy player and could be helping out the Resistance if all of their resources have sort of depleted. Overall, I think Lando's a dope character. It will be cool to see him interact, hopefully, with some of the legacy characters, even though at this point they're really all gone. But that is the story that is out there. Lando Calrissian will be in Star Wars Episode 9. Billy Dee Williams is coming back. Let us know in the comment section, what do you think about this? Are you hyped? Are you not hyped? And what kind of a role would you like to see Lando have in Episode 9? All right, let's shift gear into Dragon Ball. I want to talk about this whole Brolly and the movie thing, but then I want to make a point at the end of the video about what Dragon Ball is doing right as a brand versus what Star Wars is doing wrong. You might already know where I'm going with this, but I do want to touch on that in a second. But for those of you that do not know, Dragon Ball, of course, very popular anime, very popular franchise out there, and it had an anime going on a weekly basis called Dragon Ball Super. That show was taken off the air, which really surprised people because Dragon Ball seemed to be in its heyday. It was making a lot of money. A lot of people were talking about the show. A lot of people were watching the show, myself included. Now, when the show ended, we were told as fans that there's a massive Dragon Ball Super movie coming out later this year. The production budget for this thing is going to be massive. It'll be the biggest thing that's ever happened to Dragon Ball, and that was sort of what they told us as we got upset about this series being taken away. Basically, there's a lot of pressure on this movie. A lot of people are looking forward to this thing. Now, we got a trailer for this a couple of months ago, and very little was known about it. It just showcased the new, more fluid animation that will be used in the movie. And we saw a mystery Saiyan, which at the time we had no idea who this person could be. I remember even speculating about the green energy and the way the wristbands were on that Saiyan. I was like, that's very Brolly-esque. I wonder if there'll be a connection there. And it turns out it's more than a connection. The movie itself is literally titled Dragon Ball Super Brolly. Now, this news broke yesterday, and for a number of different reasons, it confused and simultaneously excited people in the fandom. Brolly is actually considered a non-canon character that was not created by Akira Toriyama, who is the original creator for Dragon Ball. Now, without going too far down this rabbit hole, in Japan, essentially, it's a little bit different than it is in the States. If something comes from Toriyama, a design, a plot, an outline, it's considered canon. If not, it's really not. And it's way more complicated than that, but essentially the fact that Toriyama had not created the Brolly character, and yet Brolly was such a popular character, was sort of a thing in the fan base. And so what we discovered from the articles that came out yesterday where Toriyama talked about this is that Toriyama is indeed going to sort of reboot the Brolly character. He is going to add aspects to the story, fill out some of the origin of the Saiyan, and essentially bring Brolly into canon, but change him up. So essentially what you will end up having here is the older, just original movie version of Brolly, and then you will have the newer, more canonical version of Brolly. So I don't know, it's kind of an interesting thing. And on a side note, Justin, who of course runs the Den of Nerds Gaming, a lot of you have seen him do videos on this channel as well. He and I are actually going to do a Facebook Live where we discuss the movie in depth, talk about what we think is going on and what the future of Dragon Ball will be. But essentially, that is the news. The Dragon Ball Super movie, which is a big, huge thing for a lot of fans, is indeed called Dragon Ball Super Brolly. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about this? Are you excited? You're pretty pumped to see this new Toriyama version of Brolly? Are you like, that's stupid, I liked the old version of Brolly? Did you maybe want something different out of the Dragon Ball Super movie? Whatever your thoughts are on that, let me know in the comment section below. And I want to close off the show by just making a small comparison between what Dragon Ball is doing right and what Star Wars is doing wrong. One of the things that came out yesterday about the decision to make Brolly the main character of this film was that it was not Toriyama's decision. It was actually an editor and somebody who works on the business side of things in Toei Animation. It's very simple. They literally just said Brolly is the most popular character that we have. He should be the villain of this movie. And essentially, Toriyama looked at that fact, realized that it was true, and even though it's a bit fan servicey, he put his own spin on it, and now we're going to be getting a massive Dragon Ball movie, which will tentpole around one of the most popular characters that ever appeared in any version of this property. And my point here is it's not rocket surgery to figure out what would be popular for a fan base. Dragon Ball, especially in the last year and ever since the Dragon Ball Renaissance began, has been very cognizant of giving fans what it wants. At the end of the day, the franchise was a bit more fan servicey than Star Wars in general, but the idea here is that they are making moves that they know the fan base will like. And when you look at what Star Wars is doing, especially when it comes to The Last Jedi and some of the fallout from that, they definitely took some chances, but the thing that they did not do was give a lot of fan service. And so I think it's just interesting to see how different properties like tackle this problem, because like I said, I really don't think it's too hard to figure out how to put out great Star Wars content that would get the majority of fans very, very excited. And so that's the last point that I want to just leave the show on. So let me know in the comment section, what do you think about that? I'm very interested to hear what you think. think about the differences between like a more fan servicey property like Dragon Ball and the state of Star Wars. So let me know your honest opinion. I'm really curious what people think. That's gonna do it for today's show. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like the show, give it a like, give a subscribe, maybe share this out to some people that want to get a daily dose of nerdy news. You can of course click below to watch more videos, or you can click our icon to subscribe. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.